Welcome back, brothers and sisters. I am Braden. This is Langley Outdoors Academy, and thank you for stopping by. Alright guys, the content that we're going to talk about tonight is of course the bomb drop that SCOTUS dropped today on the gun control movement nationwide. We're talking about the Bruen case. It is in, and it is quite literally going to change the entire playing field politically for gun rights versus gun control. And it's going to stack everything on the gun rights side because we are backed up by the Constitution. That's what we cover on this channel every single day, twice a day. Now, one of the things before I dive into this, show you the three most important pieces that I picked out. I'm also going to show you where this is going and where this is going to benefit everyone. Every single gun owner is going to benefit from this decision. I'm going to walk you through that, at least from my perspective. Let me know what you guys think in the comments field below, and if you want to see the nitty-gritty on this decision, I've seen and kind of gotten a sneak peek at Anthony over at Armed Scholar's video tonight. It's very thorough. After this video, check it out. It's in the description box below. Thank you so much, and we are always trying to earn that subscription if you think it's worth it to join us in this fight for our rights, but let's get it. Supreme Court of the United States. New York State Rifle and Pistol Association v. Bruen. Now, if you haven't heard today, this sent shockwaves through gun controllers nationwide. Well, I'm going to walk you through what they said, and this is kind of building into the things that they did to preempt the next steps for gun controllers, because that is a huge piece of this as well. Here's what they said if you missed it. We too agree and now hold, consistent with Heller and McDonald, two previous decisions, that the 2nd and 14th Amendments protect an individual's right to carry a handgun for self-defense outside the home. Now, the reason that this is so important is previously, in 2008, the Heller decision came down and said, yeah, you have the right to have a gun in your home for self-defense. Well, the left naturally said, well, Heller said in the home, but they didn't say anything about it in public, so we're going to ban that. Well, now, the Bruen case stacks nicely for a nice little two-tiered approach to where you have the rights to carry a gun for defense in your home and in public. Interesting how you have to define that, but that's their game, and we just beat them at it. But I'm going to show you what else they said. There's another piece here and shows you what the Supremes thought about this. We conclude that the state's licensing regime violates the Constitution. Now, that is going to have ramifications across the board because there are multiple leftist states that are built upon this exact same principle. The principles I'm about to walk you through in 1 second. Now, I know some of you out there are saying, well, Braden, they're just going to make gun-free zones across the entire city and they accomplish their ban in a different way. Ha! Thomas saw that coming too. Check this out. This is why we talked about the language of the decision was so important. Listen to what Thomas said. This is massive. To be clear, even if a modern-day regulation is not a dead ringer for historical precursors, it still may be analogous enough to pass constitutional muster. For example, courts can use analogies to long-standing laws forbidding the carrying of firearms in sensitive places such as schools and government buildings to determine whether modern regulations are constitutionally permissible. Now, that's what you guys are talking about. If you're on the, well, they're just going to do this, they're talking about sensitive places. Well, the only problem with that is Thomas got in there and said they have to have historical precedent. So, for example, movie theaters, if it's not a historically sensitive place, it's not going to be all of a sudden because you make one. For example, listen to what he said, and he left nothing unturned here. That said, respondents attempt to characterize New York's proper cause requirement as a sensitive place law lacks merit because there is no historical basis for New York to effectively declare the island of Manhattan as a sensitive place, simply because it is crowded and protected generally by the New York City Police Department. That is it. That preempts the next move they were talking about. In fact, there's a theory out there that because they put all these bills out preemptively, Thomas saw that and he amended his ruling to get in front of it. I don't know that. I can't say it, but it would be sweet. Now, let me show you the last piece here that they set up. Now, this is about two-step process, okay? Then I'm going to show you where this is going and why this is so massive. This is incredible. Check this out. Since Heller and McDonald, the courts of appeals have developed a two-step framework for analyzing Second Amendment challenges that combines history with means-ends scrutiny. That's the whole, well, I know this is the history, but this is my opinion. What's the end result? That's that whole thing, right? The court rejects that two-part approach as having one step too many. Oh, step one is broadly consistent with Heller, which demands a test rooted in the Second Amendment's text, as informed by history. You've got reading of the text shall not be infringed, and then you have historical precedent. They're taking out that whole means-end justification thing. But Heller and McDonald do not support a second step that applies means-end scrutiny in the Second Amendment context. Heller's methodology centered on constitutional text and history. It did not invoke any means in tests such as a strict or intermediate scrutiny, and it has expressly rejected any interest balancing inquiry akin to intermediate scrutiny. That's incredibly important because all the gun control stuff that they've built over the past few years and decades has been built off of intermediate scrutiny. This is crucial, and this is why this is massive, because this is where it's going next. Previously, you have pent-up demand in California, New York, Illinois, Colorado for things like magazine bans, or for high-capacity magazines, okay? You've got AWBs, or assault weapons bans, that are in places like California and New York. Well, based on this ruling, they can no longer use the same justification that they have in the 2nd and 9th Circuits. So what that effectively means is everyone who has been challenging the AWBs or the mag bans or what have you now has an additional piece of information from the Supreme Court of the United States that says you can't use that in your determination, which means everything that they've built all of their extreme gun control on has been rotted away. It's like building a castle on sand. When the sand erodes, the castle falls. And that's what we're talking about right now, which is why it's so incredibly massive. In my personal opinion, this is the beginning of a gun rights renaissance, because when you have all that pent-up demand that gets basically unleashed at one time, you have a massive inflow of magazines, of AWB or AWs, assault weapons, ARs, whatever you want to call them. When they go into a market that is thirsty for that market, you have to increase production. You have increased financial benefits. You have increased profits. You have more product going out, larger purchases of materials to buy it, which brings the price down across the board. More money that's going to go into R&D. More money that's going to go into lobbying efforts. This is so massive that we are going to be covering this for years to come on all the implications from this one decision. And that is why I'm so incredibly amped. It could not be done without you guys. Don't think that you do not have a hand in this. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you tomorrow morning on the Bullet Points. See you later.